All right, buckle up for a deep dive.
Sure.
And this one is, well, let's just say it's a little bit spicy.
Oh, I'd love spicy. Lay it on me.
We got this French YouTube video from one of our awesome listeners, and it's full of really strong relationship advice.
I'm intrigued already. Where are we headed with this?
The video is titled Les choses qu'un homme ne doit jamais demander à une femme. That's things a man should never ask a woman.
Okay, I'm sensing some definite opinions coming our way.
Yeah, and it's from a channel called Pas votre frère, not your brother. So, right off the bat, they're setting a tone.
Straight to the point, not holding back.
Yeah.
I like it. What's the first? Never.
Well, the video jumps right in. It says, never ask a woman for respect. Like, ever.
Oh, strong start. Why not? What's the reasoning there?
The video argues that if a woman truly loves you, respect will just be there naturally. It even uses, get this, Margaret Thatcher as an example.
Interesting choice, Margaret Thatcher. That's pretty unexpected for a relationship advice video.
Right. But the point they're trying to make is that even though she was this powerful leader who commanded respect on the world stage.
At home, she was just her husband's wife, showing him respect naturally.
Exactly.
I mean, I get the sentiment, but using Thatcher feels a bit, I don't know, dated. Like maybe this video is tapping into some older ideas about relationships.
Yeah, it definitely has that vibe. Like something out of an old school advice column.
Right. But it's interesting how they're presenting it in this modern, YouTube-y kind of way.
And it gets even more intense. The video flat out says that if you have to ask for respect, well, there's no love there at all.
Ooh, that's harsh. I mean, I get that respect is crucial in a relationship, but sometimes it's not that simple, right?
Yeah, I mean, relationships are messy. It's not always black and white.
Exactly. And sometimes, people make mistakes. They hurt each other. Respect can be broken. And sometimes you need to talk about it to rebuild it.
I'm also thinking, what about different communication styles? Some people might be more direct about expressing their needs. Does that mean they don't love their partner?
It's a good point. This video definitely seems to be coming from a very specific perspective, maybe one where communication isn't as direct or where certain assumptions about gender roles are baked in.
Makes you wonder how this advice would land with different audiences.
Yeah, for sure. But even if we don't agree with the absolute never, I think there's something to be said for paying attention to how much respect you're receiving in a relationship.
Right, if you're constantly feeling disrespected or taken for granted, that's a red flag no matter what this video says.
Agreed. Okay, so never number one is a doozy. What's next on the list?
All right, get ready for this one. Never ask for sex.
Oh boy, here we go. This is where things could get really controversial.
Yeah, the video doesn't hold back here either. It claims that women use sex as a weapon, and that a real man, a powerful man, masters his desires.
Wow, okay, so no matter what, even if you're in a committed relationship, you should just, suppress your needs?
It's more like the video suggests that if a woman wants to have sex with you, she'll make it known.
There's a lot to unpack there. I mean, on the one hand, it's pushing back against the stereotype of men always being the aggressors, always pushing for sex.
Right, and that women are just passive participants.
Exactly, and I think that's a good thing to challenge, but on the other hand, assuming that women will always be the initiators feels just as stereotypical, right?
It's like they just flipped the script instead of actually addressing the issue.
And also, what about communication? I mean, shouldn't partners be able to talk openly about their desires and needs, even if it feels awkward?
I mean, that's what intimacy is all about, right? Being able to be vulnerable and honest with each other.
Exactly. But this video seems to be suggesting that any kind of request or initiation from a man is somehow a sign of weakness or desperation.
And to be fair, the video does use pretty colorful language to make its point.
Oh yeah, there's that quote about mastering his third leg.
I'm not even going to repeat that one. But you get the idea.
Definitely attention grabbing. But beyond the shock value, I think it's important to remember that healthy intimacy is about mutual desire, respect, and consent.
It's a two-way street.
Exactly. And if one person is always having to coerce or pressure the other, well, that's a sign of a much bigger problem in the relationship.
It's not about never asking. It's about recognizing when the dynamic is off.
Right. Okay, 2 nevers down, and I'm already feeling a little overwhelmed. What's next?
This next one gets really interesting. Never demand respect for your loved ones, particularly your family.
Okay, now that's a tricky one. I can see how that could lead to some serious conflicts.
Yeah, the video uses this pretty intense analogy to illustrate the point.
Oh no, what is it?
It talks about a woman accepting a slap from her partner's father without protesting.
Whoa, okay, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, it's a pretty jarring image. But the video is trying to highlight the lengths to which love and respect for family should go.
I mean, respecting your partner's family is important, but that analogy takes it to a whole other level.
Right. It's like they're saying family loyalty trumps everything,
Yeah.
even your own safety or well-being.
I'm getting a strong sense of collectivism here, where the couple isn't viewed as a separate unit, but as part of this larger web of family ties.
And that clashes with a lot of modern relationship advice that emphasizes individuality and setting boundaries.
Yeah, for sure. I think this never is more about being mindful of the importance of family in your partner's life.
And trying to build relationships with their loved ones.
Exactly, but it's also about recognizing that you have your own boundaries and needs that need to be respected as well.
It's about finding that balance, right?
Yeah. I'm starting to see a pattern here with these nevers. They're very absolute, very provocative.
It's like they're trying to shake things up,
Yeah.
challenge conventional thinking.
Exactly. And while they might not always be practical or applicable in every situation, I think they get us thinking about these deeper dynamics that play out in relationships.
Okay, so we've tackled respect, sex, and family. What's the next never on the list?
Buckle up, because this one is about attention. Never beg for it.
Oh, this is going to be good. I feel like everyone's experiences at some point.
Right, that feeling of wanting more attention from your partner, feeling ignored or unimportant.
Yeah, the video talks about waiting hours for a text back, even when you know she's not busy. And get this, they even bring up Barack Obama.
Barack Obama. Now that's a name I wasn't expecting to hear in this context.
Right, but they're saying even the busiest man in the world has time to check his phone, to send a quick message.
I see what they're getting at. It's about recognizing your worth and not settling for crumbs of attention.
Exactly. And it's pushing back against those "I'm so busy" excuses that people sometimes use to justify their lack of responsiveness.
Which, let's be real, in today's world of smartphones and constant connectivity, those excuses don't really hold up anymore.
Right, if someone wants to make time for you, they will.
And if they're consistently making you feel like you're not a priority, well, that's a sign to pay attention to.
This never is making me think about how technology has changed our expectations in relationships. We're so used to instant communication, instant gratification.
It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of notifications and forget to prioritize the people who truly matter.
This is a good reminder to be more mindful, more present, and to make sure we're giving our loved ones the attention they deserve.
Agreed. Okay, so that's 4 nevers down. What's the final one?
All right, this one's a biggie. Never ask a woman to acknowledge your relationship publicly.
Oh, wow. This one goes straight to the heart of how we define and validate relationships.
Right. The video paints a pretty stark picture. Never meeting her friends or family, not being invited to events, even being hidden when you bump into people she knows.
Ouch. That's gotta hurt. It's like being the secret shame no one's supposed to know about.
The video is basically saying if she's truly proud to be with you, she'll shout it from the rooftops.
It's about wanting to be celebrated, not hidden away.
And it ties back to that theme of self-respect, right? If you're constantly being treated like you're not good enough to be seen with, that's a problem.
Absolutely. I mean, there can be valid reasons why someone might be hesitant to be publicly affectionate or to introduce their partner to their family right away.
Yeah, like cultural differences, family issues, or maybe they're just naturally private people.
But if it's a consistent pattern of hiding you or making excuses, that's a red flag.
It could be a sign that they're not as invested in the relationship as you are.
Right. Or that they're not ready for that level of commitment and visibility.
So communication is key here too, right? Talking about what public acknowledgement means to each of you and finding a way to navigate those expectations together.
Absolutely. Open and honest communication is the foundation of any healthy relationship.
Okay, so we've laid out the 5 nevers
Yeah.
from this French YouTube video. And wow, there's a lot to unpack here.
There is. And remember, this is just one perspective, presented in a very bold and absolute way.
But even if we don't agree with every single point, I think it sparked some really interesting conversations.
It's challenged us to think about relationships in a different way, maybe to question some of the norms we take for granted.
And to remember that we all deserve to be in relationships that make us feel loved, respected, and valued.
Exactly. So I think it's really interesting how these nevers are all kind of like attention-grabbing headlines, you know?
Right, they're meant to be provocative, make you stop and think.
Exactly. And I think there's some real wisdom hidden beneath those strong statements.
Yeah, like with the first one about respect. It's not that you should never, ever voice your need for respect.
It's more about paying attention to whether you're constantly having to fight for it.
Like if you're always feeling disrespected or like your needs aren't being considered.
That's a sign that something's off in the relationship.
It's like the video saying, hey, you deserve to be treated with respect, even in the little things.
And if you're not getting that, it's okay to speak up, to set boundaries.
Right. It's not about being demanding, but about knowing your worth.
Exactly. And I think that applies to all of these nevers. They're all about recognizing your value in a relationship.
Okay, so how does that apply to the second never, the one about sex?
Well, I think it's easy to get caught up in the colorful language the video uses.
Mastering his third leg quote, yeah.
But I think what they're really getting at is this idea of agency and consent.
So, like, both partners should be equally enthusiastic about having sex.
That's right. It's not about one person pursuing and the other one giving in.
And it's not about suppressing your desires either, right?
No, not at all. It's more about creating a dynamic where both partners feel comfortable and empowered to express their needs.
And where they feel safe saying no if they're not feeling it.
Exactly. And I think that takes a lot of communication, a lot of trust.
Which, honestly, is something a lot of relationships could benefit from.
Yeah, for sure. It's not always easy to talk about sex, especially if you've been raised with certain traditional ideas about how it should be.
It's like this video is trying to shake things up, to challenge those norms.
And maybe to encourage people to be more open and honest with each other.
Okay, so that one's definitely a conversation starter. What about the third, never respecting loved ones? That one felt a little trickier to me.
Yeah, that slap from the father analogy was pretty intense.
I mean, it's hard to imagine anyone actually endorsing violence like that.
Right? But I think what they were trying to do was highlight how important family is in some cultures.
It's like family loyalty is everything.
Exactly. And that can create some really complex dynamics in relationships.
Because, like, how do you balance respecting your partner's family with setting boundaries for yourself?
That's a great question. And I don't think there's an easy answer.
It's probably something that every couple has to navigate in their own way.
Right. But I think the key is communication. Again, being able to talk openly and honestly about what you're comfortable with and what your expectations are.
And maybe having those conversations early on before things get too complicated.
Exactly. It's much easier to prevent resentment from building up than it is to try to fix it later on.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what about the fourth never? The one about attention? That one really resonated with me.
Yeah, I think everyone's been there at some point wanting more attention from their partner, feeling ignored or unimportant.
It's like that feeling of wanting to be seen, to be acknowledged.
Exactly. And I think what this never is getting at is the importance of being present in your relationships.
Not just physically present, but emotionally present too.
Right, like actually listening to your partner, responding to their needs, making them feel like they matter.
And in a world where everyone's constantly distracted by their phones and social media.
It's so easy to just kind of check out, to not give our partners the attention they deserve.
This never is a good reminder to be more mindful, to make an effort to connect with our loved ones on a deeper level.
And I think it's also about recognizing when someone isn't making that same effort for you.
If they're constantly making you feel unimportant or like you're not a priority.
That's a sign that something needs to change.
Okay, so we're down to the last never, the one about public acknowledgement.
This is another one that's really relevant in today's world.
Yeah, with social media and everything, it's like there's this pressure to constantly be showcasing your relationship.
Right. And if your partner isn't willing to do that, it can feel like they're not as invested as you are.
I mean, there are definitely valid reasons why someone might be hesitant to, like, post about their relationship online or introduce their partner to their family right away.
Absolutely. Everyone has their own comfort level when it comes to these things.
But I think the point the video is trying to make is that if you're truly proud to be with someone, you want the world to know.
And you want to share your life with them, both privately and publicly.
And if you're constantly feeling like you're being hidden or kept a secret,
that can be really hurtful.
It can make you question whether your partner is truly committed to the relationship.
And I think that's where communication comes in again. Being able to talk openly about your expectations and what public acknowledgement means to each of you.
Because it might mean different things to different people.
Exactly. And finding a compromise that works for both of you.
So looking back at all 5 of these nevers, what's the common thread here?
I think what ties them all together is this idea of self-respect.
Knowing your worth and not settling for less than you deserve.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that you are worthy of love, respect, and attention.
And it's about being in a relationship where your needs are met and where you feel valued.
Absolutely. And I think that's a message that everyone can benefit from hearing, regardless of their cultural background or relationship status.
I completely agree. And there's this one phrase in the video that really stuck with me. It's petit en temps pas, which translates to, honey, they don't love you.
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
It's like a wake-up call, it's saying, pay attention. Are you really getting the love and respect you deserve?
I think that's a really important question to ask ourselves.
Because sometimes we get so caught up in our relationships that we lose sight of our own needs.
We start making excuses for our partner's behavior, or we convince ourselves that things will get better.
But this video is saying, don't settle. You deserve to be with someone who truly cherishes you, who makes you feel loved and appreciated.
And if you're not getting that, it's okay to walk away and find someone who will.
I think that's a really empowering message.
It's funny, right? We started with this video that's like, never do this, never do that.
All these hard and fast rules.
Yeah, but the more we talk about it, the more it feels like those nevers are more like guidelines.
Well, conversation starters.
Exactly. They get us thinking about what's really important in a relationship.
And maybe challenging some of those old school ideas that don't really serve us anymore.
Right, like this whole idea that men should always be the pursuers or that women shouldn't have to ask for what they want.
It's like the video is saying, hey, wake up. You both deserve to be happy in this relationship.
And you both have a responsibility to make that happen.
It's a partnership, not a competition.
Exactly. And I think that's a really powerful message, even if it comes wrapped in some unconventional language.
Yeah, the mastering your third leg quote is definitely going to stick with me.
Oh, for sure. But, sometimes you need a little shock value to get people's attention.
Right. Shake things up a bit.
And I think this video definitely did that. It got us talking about some really important stuff.
Like, what does it really mean to be in a loving and respectful relationship?
And how do we make sure we're both getting our needs met?
And I think those are questions that everyone should be asking themselves no matter what their relationship status is.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, we all deserve to be in relationships that make us feel good, that make us feel loved and appreciated.
And if we're not getting that, we have the power to change it.
Whether that means communicating our needs more clearly, setting stronger boundaries, or even walking away from a relationship that's no longer serving us.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway from this whole deep dive.
It's all about knowing your worth and not settling for less than you deserve.
And remembering that you have the power to create the kind of love you want in your life.
Beautifully said. And I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah, so to our amazing listener who sent us this thought-provoking video, thank you.
Thank you for sparking this incredible conversation.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive and that it's given you some food for thought.
And to everyone listening, keep those amazing sources coming.
We love exploring these unconventional ideas with you. Until next time, happy reflecting.